We continue on with this video of books 17 and 18 of the Odyssey, and Odysseus is now back home in Ithaca. His identity has only been revealed so far to his son Telemachus, and he is now going to, within the next few books, try to start taking back over his life and his kingdom. In this book, we get a few new characters. Melanthius, who is a scornful goat herd, and that is a really and he good person to keep in mind if you are going to compare the loyalty of servants um, to Odysseus. You have Eumaeus, who is such a faithful servant, contrasted greatly with Melanthius, who is a very spiteful, angry, and vindictive servant of Odysseus. Also, one interesting character to encounter is Argos, Odysseus's faithful dog, and we see this even in the tiny creatures, not just people, but Odysseus had a wonderful relationship with this dog, and he remained ever faithful. Somewhat like the story, if any of you are familiar with the um, Japanese dog Hachi that waited for his master faithfully. So is Argos in the same way. And then Eurynomé, Penelope's servant. In book 17, Theoclymenus reveals the omen to Penelope because we're trying to open up this span of people who realize what is going on. Odysseus and Eumaeus are going into the city. Melanthius abuses and has disguised Melanthius abuses the disguised Odysseus, I should say. He does not realize the only person at this time who knows who Odysseus truly is his son. And so this scenario here is really the place where you can get good examples and the supportive evidence for contrasting faithfulness to unfaithful servants, such as with Eumaeus and Melanthius. And then the scene with Argos. Odysseus finally comes into the palace and sees Argos, and the dog is extremely happy to see him. And upon seeing him, he finally is able to move on and passes away. So it's a very bittersweet scene. The suitors, once Odysseus as a beggar, keep in mind, see this man. They continue to, or they begin and then continue to taunt him. And then Penelope desires to speak with the beggar or the guest in her house. Book 18, Penelope, because of the way that the suitors are treating a guest in her home, even if it is a beggar, is extremely angry with the way that they are treating people in her home. This is still her home, even though they've encamped there. She entices more gifts from the suitors, and this is a very interesting point because this shows some of the cleverness that Penelope would have picked up from being married to Odysseus. And you think, why on earth would she bother to get more gifts from the suitors? Is she leading them on? Well, yes, she is, but if they are going to stay there unwelcomed and take over her home, why not take advantage of them, get more gifts, get more money? And she's putting it away and storing it, and in her the deepest recesses of her heart, her hopeful heart hopes that Odysseus will return and she will have collected this stockpile for him. So it's something that if you're going to basically make the best of a bad situation, and so she's going to try to get all she can from them. And then the suitors continue to taunt and ridicule Odysseus because he is, keep in mind, disguised as the beggar. Dramatic irony is a very interesting literary device, and if you are unfamiliar with it, it basically means that the characters do not know what is going on, but the reader is going to know what is going on. So it's ironic in that sense, the drama aspect. In taunting, the suitors ask Zeus to give the beggar, quote, what you want most of all. And what the suitors do not realize, that the reader knows, that Odysseus, what Odysseus wants most of all is for the suitors to be eradicated from his home. And so in their ignorance, they pray to Zeus, well, give him exactly what you want. But what they don't realize is that they are wishing for their own death and destruction. Um, the irony, however, in this case is not lost on Odysseus. He realizes, and this is somewhat it's not very common for one of the characters to really get keyed in on what is going on. The reader knowing, having it for all of privy to all of the information, but Odysseus is clever and realizes this as well. And it says that the great Odysseus was pleased with the omen, and so a message comes from the gods saying, basically, that they are going to get what is coming to them.